Hello again, it's the PEI Pen Guy, and we're continuing with these face reveals, I guess. Uh, anyway, I hope you're having a great day here, or a great day there, I should say. It's a lovely day here. Looking at the camera here, I'm noticing my background, so I probably should tell you what I'm doing. I shoot the videos in a room that's just upstairs. It's sort of off my studio. It's a part of the studio in some way. The studio has spilled through the house. We all use it. My son uses it a lot. My daughter, not so much. Sometimes for music. She does most of her artwork in her room, and it's a library, books, and there's plants, and there's paintings behind me leaning against things. I really should tidy it up. But it's a lovely room because it's surrounded by great windows and we get good light, and it's a cheerful place to be. So I hope you don't mind the clutter in behind me. Anyway, I'm going to continue on with a theme. So it seems to be Parker 51 week or whatever. So a couple days ago, or actually, as I shoot this video yesterday, I was talking with a friend of mine, Ian Scott, about his Parker 51 collections, and we had a nice chat. And I've done a video with him in the Pen Pal series where I sit down with a friend and we talk about pens, and you know, I don't have a 51 in my collection, and I know that Ian would be the person to talk to, and I had a great conversation with him. He's so knowledgeable about, you know, that period and that brand and that pen. He's been using fountain pens all his life, and he never stopped. And he's a historian, he's an artist, a great conversationalist. It was really pleasant to talk to him. And he loaned me a few of his pens. You know, that's the great thing about fountain pen people. They want you to try fountain pens. Like, here, get addicted to this kind of situation. And so I borrowed a couple of his pens, and I'm doing a few videos on them, and I've been trying them out, and he loaned me some of his vintage 51s, but he also loaned me the newest release of the Parker 51 that he has in his collection. And it's a pen that I have, like a lot of people, mixed feelings about it. When I first heard that Parker was coming out with a new release of the 51, I was, oh wow, great, this is great. I was looking forward to it, and then, you know, I didn't get one. I was looking at it, and there was just like, no, and I watched a few reviews online, and it just seemed, you know, I might hold off and get a vintage one. Like, that's how my mind felt, you know, about the pen. I thought, yeah, I'm going to wait. I'm going to save up some money. I'm going to look for a vintage 51. And I haven't found one yet, and I haven't gotten around to it. But someday I will. Someday I'm going to go hunting for a vintage one rather than the release. Because I think the vintage one is a far better pen than the modern one. And, well, we'll just open up the box and we'll take a look at it. So here it is. This is the new release of the Parker 51. Came out last year, and, you know, if Parker had just sort of stuck to the original design, you know, it would have been fantastic. Do that. But they made some changes to this pen, and I don't know why. For instance, I'll show you a vintage one first. The vintage Parker 51 has a pull cap. Pull cap. That's part of the design. That's what the 51 was known for, one of its design features. The modern 51, or the re-release or special edition, I don't know, what would you call it, has a twist cap. Right? I don't know why. And, you know, you turn it off and there it is, right? So, yeah, I'm going to be blunt. I accidentally picked up my Wing Sung first there, but this is the modern one. So yeah, when you look at it, it looks very similar at first glance, and it has a twist cap. And I don't know, I would have preferred a pull cap. That's one thing. The other thing is the nib. It's not it's not a 51 nib. It's more like your standard Parker Jotter nib, and maybe it is the Parker Jotter nib. I've watched a number of reviews online, and I've seen some people take them apart, and it looks like a Parker Jotter nib, right? Parker had, the original was more of a tubular nib. When you take this apart, there's a section, of course, in the nib. It's a very narrow nib, and there's a breathing tube that runs into the body of this pen, and that's what the ink goes up. This tends to be more of your standard jotter style. I'm not saying it is a jotter, but it's along that line. Feed and nib. There's no breathing tube. It's, pretty straightforward. And they didn't have to put a breathing tube in it, but it would have been nice if they had taken some time and put a different nib in it, similar to the original 51, personally. This is a smooth writer. It works perfectly well. But one thing I did notice when I was using it is I did feel these threads right here, and it feels different in the hand to the 51. The other thing I noticed is these are plastic threads right here with a metal cap, and in the cap, if you see, the threads are metal. So that's metal on plastic, and to me, that is a problem over time. You often, sometimes you'll come across vintage pens that had plastic and metal on each other, plastic threads with metal threads, and you see the plastic has been stripped away and you get a loose cap. When Ian and I were chatting about this, he wondered if maybe they put a screw cap on, because a lot of people think that's a more secure system than a pull cap. I'm not sold on that idea that a screw cap is a more reliable closing system. A clutch ring with a metal clutch ring with a metal cap is a very secure closing system. It works wonderfully, and you don't get the wear and tear of the threads that you do with plastic on metal. So that's one thing about the pen that I wonder about. And the other thing, when you get the pen, I don't think it comes with a converter, and I don't even know if it comes with a cartridge. I saw a few reviews online where they open up the box and you get a pen, and there's no converter, and there's no, there didn't seem to be any cartridges either, but I could be wrong. It could have just been that reviewer. But anyway, so those are a few of the things about the pen. I'm going to pause now, and I'm going to flip the camera around. We're going to do a little writing sample and take a little closer look at the pen. And I hope you stick around. Thanks. So here we have the reissue of the Parker 51. It comes in actually a very nice box, kind of a clamshell pop-open box. And you open it up, and there's the pen. Oh wait, this does have a cartridge, so I was wrong. So yes, it obviously came with a cartridge, but I don't believe it came with a converter. You unscrew the pen. It's most likely a converter in here. So you have a converter filling system, which is perfectly fine. Holds a, not a huge amount of ink, but a good amount of ink. And you screw that back on. And there you have it. That's the Parker 51. And it also has, you know, the hooded nib, a different nib than the original. We're just going to open up an original. This is the original Parker 51 here. Really nice vintage box that Ian has here. In excellent condition. Leather, sort of a metal 51 logo on it that looks like it was plated at one point with maybe gold. Who knows? Anyway, and he has a couple different Parker 51s, but we're just going to pull one out and take a brief look at them. So you line them up. This I keep meaning to push that on, but it doesn't push on. You line them up, and the original is a little smaller. This one here. The modern ones, or the re-release, seems a little thicker, a little bit longer, maybe. And at first glance, it looks very similar. This one here has a far more elaborate clip, this vintage one, and it has the blue diamond on it. I don't know if you can see that. Yeah, there you go. A lot more refined engraving, and you run your finger across it and you can feel it, like the engraved lines on the feathers of the arrow. It's a shorter clip, and that would probably, if you're an expert, give you a better dating of the pen by looking at the clip. The new one, you know, it has an arrow clip, fairly simple in design. It's more, you know, just cut out in an arrow shape, and there's a bit of engraving there, probably stamped on. Nothing too elaborate, you know, so fairly simple. This is, of course, the pull cap. This is a screw cap. And when you look at them, there's quite a few differences. This is the longer, more elegant looking pen. The section and the nib seem, in my opinion, to be a bit more harmonious in design and finish. This is sort of, you know, a hooded section with a different type of nib than what you would get. You know, it looks nice, but the original is hard to beat. Here you see the metal clutch ring, right? That the metal cap grips to, really. And this has, right here, a metal ring. But it's not a clutch ring. It's just a band. It's decorative. And there's, you know, you feel the clutch ring here, but it's very smooth. Like you can feel it. It feels nice. But the body is a bit more graceful. Like the barrel and the section, they just have a cleaner line, right? And when I'm looking at it, this is a shorter, stubbier pen. The barrel is visually thicker than the section. You see the threads just here, and then you have this band, which really is pointless, but it's there as a decorative element. And that's where I kind of get a little confused by this, because why not just do this with a clutch band and a slip cap? It would probably be less expensive or easier to produce such a clean barrel without threads and using a clutch ring. Whereas this has threads. It has a band, and it has threads in the cap. And so I'm a little confused personally. It just seems like unnecessary design, and it doesn't look as graceful, in my opinion, as the original. The original is it's just like a fish moving through water, and this is a little bit clunky. I'm being very critical. Oh boy. Anyway, so yeah, those are what really, that's one thing that really catches my eye, really. Just the awkwardness of this section right here. It doesn't make sense. Whereas the original is just so sleek. So elegant. Anyway, we're going to do a little writing sample. So as I said, the nib is different than the original. This almost looks like a medium nib. Fine, you know. The quick brown fox jumps over the lazy dog. Now, it's a perfectly good writer. Fairly smooth. There's a bit of feedback. Not what I would call overly wet. There's no line variation, really. There's no line variation, but it's a good writer. Looking at it, too, I would say it's a type of pen that you almost have to post. You know, I like posting my pens. I'm not saying that having to post a pen is wrong. I like posting pens. But this one is, when I, without the cap, it's a very, it's actually short. It's a short little pen. And the section is short. So I find myself holding it, on the threads in some ways. So it's a little bit it's not they're not overly sharp. I have sharper threads. I have pens that are, more pronounced steps between the barrel and the section. But it is small. It feels small in my hand. I don't have huge hands, but I notice how small this pen feels. It's not necessarily a game changer, but that's one of the things I've noticed about it. So yeah, I would definitely post this pen if it was my pen. But as I say, it's an interesting pen, and I would have loved them to have been closer to the original. That would have been really interesting. That would have been beautiful. It comes in, the reissue comes in some very nice colors. They have different, they have a gold cap. You can get it with a gold nib. This has a steel nib. But for the price, I would still wait and get a vintage pen. Anyway, there you have it. So I'm going to ask again, what are your opinions on the reissue of the Parker 51? Do you like it? Do you have one? Do you prefer the original? Yeah. Anyway, I hope you all have a great day. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. Let me know how you feel about the face reveals. Is this a good idea? Anyway, I'll talk to you soon. I hope you have a great day. Bye-bye.